I was the worst. Not a lot of people know this. I'll just throw it out there. I spent 30 days in a prison that is now shut down. And like DMX was there. It's the second most dangerous prison in America. It's no longer there. It was at Tent City in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
It was horrible. Yeah, I was in and out of jail all the time as a youngin'.
For what?
Yeah, I had to protect myself, so I fought a lot. And I saw some crazy shit in there.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Realest People in Real Estate podcast, where we talk about the real shit, not about real estate. I'm one of your hosts, Brooke Jones, aka the Millennial Agent.
Hey guys, I'm your girl, Tyra Nicole.
What's up, everybody? I am Nicole Pay, and we are so happy to have you back this week. Before we get started, I just want to give a couple shout outs. Our daughter today is turning 11, so happy birthday to our daughter, Zoe. Also, we want to give a quick shout out to our angel in heaven, Ashley Rose. There's not a day that goes by that we don't think about you. Oh, wow. I wasn't going to do this. I've practiced this so many times.
It's okay.
But
it's okay.
We forever will love your guts and always miss your face. So on that note, cheers.
Cheers.
We're going to do it your style.
Your style, Ash. Cheers.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. We have rosé like we did last year.
Yep. We were drinking.
Sprinkles of red.
For her and our red and rosé for her. Do you know how many times I practiced that and I did not cry, and then the moment like it comes down to a wire.
It's okay, it's real, it's raw.
It is real, it's raw.
Yeah.
And
it's
let's get into the good stuff.
That emotion.
Yeah. Kelli McCormick Thomas, welcome to our podcast. We're so excited to have you. This has been in the making. Real estate agent, yoga teacher, retreat host.
Yeah.
We want to dive into that. Like, you said that, and all of us were kind of like, wait, what?
What's
retreat
that?
host? What is that?
I threw it in at the last second.
You did. You kind of threw that curveball. What's that about?
So this has been something that I've been working on for years. I've been manifesting it for a long time. I had a retreat planned in Arizona, and I don't know if you remember this because this was a little over a year ago when we were at the other office, and there was a kid that was like single-handedly trying to take me down, like ruin my career.
What?
He called my yoga studio, he called EXP Corporate.
Was this a client?
Was it a
client?
Do you remember this?
I don't remember it happening. I think it was before I came on, but you told me about it.
Yeah, so this is when stress and emotions, and there's a lot of tension around politics, right? So this is like right out of COVID, and he saw a post that I liked. I didn't share it. I didn't bring any acknowledgement to it except for like it. And because I liked this post and he didn't agree with it, he tried to take me down. So he also called the place that I was holding the retreat in Arizona, the hotel there. Yeah. And
what was the post?
It
Was it like a political post?
It was a political post that leaned a little bit more right, but it was humorous, and I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Because I mean, out of a heavy situation, I can find light and laughter, and I thought it was funny. You know, it was a meme. It wasn't even like...
That's crazy, though.
Do you know what it?
I can't even understand to the lengths of...
You don't know who he is?
You don't know?
I don't know who he is.
Oh, that's weird.
That is really weird.
okay.
Like the lengths of someone going to literally ruin your career, your everything.
He tried. Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
It was crazy. So he was a younger kid out of Chicago because I traced him back, right? Like I had somebody find him. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do anything. I don't want that karma on me. And it's not worth my time and energy. Obviously, he's got a lot of time and energy to put into doing this. And I will say this. He did not just come out of nowhere. So during COVID, I was making a lot of connections on social media platforms like we all were, right? And he started sending me some music because he liked the music that I would play when I would teach yoga online. And he was like, have you ever heard this? And I'm nice, you know? So I'm like, no, okay, thank you for sending, you know? Like, that's cool, like, awesome. And that was it. That was it. And then he was like trying to take me down. So long story short, I had to cancel my first big retreat. So I've done women's circles, and I've done a lot in when I lived in Virginia with Kundalini energy and, you know, the divine feminine energy and that type of things. And I held like weekend retreats that weren't out of the area. So this was my first one that I was going to do out of state. And I was so excited.
So he literally made you cancel.
I had to, because the tensions were so high. The resort called me and they were like, you know, we don't want this type of negativity, like all of this, you know, we don't know what he's going to do. I had EXP Corporate reach out to me, and then my yoga studio.
I'm like blown away right now.
And then Michael, you know, Michael at EXP, he was harassing him, calling him. So a guy in my office that was my ops manager, he was calling him daily, trying
what was he saying?
He was trying to be fired.
That is
over liking a post.
Over liking.
Yeah, but what did he say
a
to
post?
Michael?
He said I was racist. He said I was a bigot. He said all of these things, and I was like, "Do you even know? You don't even know?
You clearly don't even know anything
so
about
how did you like get him like gone, or did he just finally
I had to block him from everything.
Okay.
And Michael, my ops manager, had to send him an email and say, "Look, you know, we've talked about this. This is the end of it. No more." Like, just stop. Mind your business, pretty much. Otherwise, we're going to start pressing charges against you for harassment.
I mean, I guess this is the real part of real estate. And
all types of people.
Yeah. The stalkers that come through it. So you had to cancel that. So you haven't had any out of state since then?
So I haven't had any since then. And this was in Sedona, where I feel such a calling to.
Oh, I love Sedona, Arizona. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
And the vortexes there for energy are just so intense and incredible. So I plan to do another one there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you do any local retreats? Because I know you came to when we had our like 1 day retreat, and I have to say, like, even that whole, for William, who just stepped out for a minute, he even said, like, we need to start doing this more. And he's not that person. Like, the whole, but being in that space and being on that, we were on the rooftop, you know, for those who haven't seen the video yet, we were on the rooftop in the city, listening to church bells, listening to your voice, listening to the wind. Like, I felt like every time you said breathe, the wind would like blow. It was just it was so like connected.
So true.
And like, and I said that to you after. I'm like, did you like feel the wind blow every time she said breathe? Like the wind would blow. And it was amazing. It was such a connected and calming moment that I think we all really needed at that time. So
I love that. I really wanted to bring a grounding component to the day, just because. You already know I'm gonna use astrology. I'm like, astrology.
We're all for it.
We've been talking number. You have no idea. Ever since we've had this meeting with you, like the conversations, and then all of a sudden we'll talk about it, and people will look at us and be like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, this is a conversation carrying over for like days now. So
I'm so happy. I feel like I found my people. There were so many things that we were coming out of at that time. Mercury was in retrograde. Venus was in retrograde. Relationships were being challenged.
Yeah.
And even my friends that don't understand astrology, I always say understand, because it's not a matter of believing in it. It's a real thing. Like, this has been around 700 years. Astrologers and numerologists have been around long before science had, it was basically, my astrology teacher said, is the first science known to man. And there's something that's always going to be around to the end of day. And she was like, that's astrology and prostitution. And those two things. Well,
what a comparison.
I know. She's
So
a
can
Gemini,
you explain
so
to people what that means?
Yeah.
Like Venus and Mercury in retrograde.
Yeah, definitely. So Venus is the planet of love.
Okay.
And in connectingness, right? So we're in that energy right now because it's Libra season, and Libra is ruled by Venus. So if you ever met a Libra, they're going to be that friend who makes the connections, they're the sign of the scales, right? The balance scales. So they are the ones that keep the harmony, the peace. If you're in a group of friends and like these two aren't talking and you're a Libra, you're going to be the one to bring them together.
Okay.
And we're embracing that energy now. So when it's in retrograde, it's pretty much the opposite of that.
Oh.
So, like, for example, I went through a breakup. I got my heart broken through Venus retrograde. I was like, I'm a victim. I'm a victim of Venus retrograde. Then when you have Mercury on top of that, Mercury rules communication. And when it's in retrograde, communication can get messed up. So that's why they say when Mercury's in retrograde, it's not a great time to make very heavy decisions, like big contracts. And realtor, so
I'm like, we're in real estate. How is that possible?
Yeah.
How hard
That
it is to bite my
explains
tongue during
all
this.
of what's been happening to me the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Everything has come full circle.
There you go.
All of us.
All of us. Yeah.
So in technology, travel plans, Mercury can mess all of that up. And so at that time, you just have to be aware of it.
Okay.
And if things start coming at your way, just say, you know, like you said, trust the process. Is so true on so many different levels, because if you have something, I don't like to say blame, but if you have something that helps you understand like why these things are happening, it makes it like relatable and understandable, and it kind of lets it pass so you can look
that's
forward.
what I was just gonna say. It almost like what I've been going through with the last like couple of weeks, and I've disclosed to them, like you try to figure out how to fix it, and having that mindset, it almost is like just let it go.
Yeah.
Like, and it's the hardest thing to do.
But once you do, that's when everything will start to work out.
Okay,
because when you
I'm ready for it.
because you're causing resistance when you're trying to fix something that you can't fix.
Yeah.
You create blockages.
Yeah, blockages.
So whenever you're creating those blockages, it's just going to bounce off of you. Anything that's good to come your way. And I had to do this, you know, I had to let people go that I loved.
Yeah.
And I had to tell them, like, I have so much love in my heart for you, but it's creating blockages for new love to come in, and I have to let you go. I was on and off with a man for 18 years, and he was a really good friend of mine, and he called and would fly me somewhere, and I would go. And the last trip I had, I told him that. I was like, this will never amount to anything. You know, we can be friends, but as far as like me hoping and wishing that like we could be together one day, it's never going to happen. So I had to release you. I had to let you go, because that's the only way that love will
you can allow
it to come.
It's not
18 years
easy.
is a long time.
I was gonna say that's
not
a
easy.
really long time.
Yeah.
Like Will and I have been together 15, and I've tried. Like his ass just keeps coming back. Where's he at? He's not even here. But just kidding. But so, how did you even get started with all of this? Like we've had many talks about it. There was a book that you had told me to pick up, and I did.
It's in my car. Did you get it?
I did.
I was gonna bring it.
I did. I don't have it here, and I wish
the
I would know.
What
Astrology for the Soul. It's yeah, and that's the one, right?
That's the one. Yep, Astrology for the Soul, and you can explain it. And because we sat down and we went to like a dinner thing, and her and I just started talking, and she's like, start explaining things, and I'm like, where do I get this book?
It's
and
so
I think
liberating, though.
I think I ordered it.
It's a great
that
word for
day.
it. Yeah.
But I have no idea what any of it means.
It's in my car, and I almost brought it up here, but my hands are full with the pierogies.
The pierogies took over from the book. But so what is it? Astrology for the Soul.
Astrology
That's what
for
it's
the
called.
Soul.
We're gonna mark that down so you can. Brooke can also like look in that when we do this back, like Astrology for the Soul. But just kind of explain that, because when we were talking. And I say, like, where did you get started this? But you, like, really connected with what I was going through I believe in astrology. I have my sign on my neck. I'm Sagittarius, so I believe in it. And you started talking, and I was like, oh, my gosh. Like, she knows me, and we, like, just met, like, 3 months ago.
It's a way of understanding people, and I dove deeper for that reason. Okay. And understanding yourself, right? So I'm the oldest daughter of 3 girls, right? So if you have sisters, like, okay, it's emotional roller coaster at times. Like, we beat each other up, and then like we hug, right? And you know, my upbringing was pretty rocky at times. I moved out at a very young age, and for me to understand my mom and my dad and my sisters, and then even more importantly when I had children, astrology was the only thing that would allow me to accept their behaviors and why they were reacting and acting that way towards me. Okay.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And I mean, going further back, like, I was always into horoscopes, even through high school. Like, and this is weird, like, I don't remember people's names, but I will remember their sign.
Really? Do you remember mine?
You're a Capricorn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember what was the horoscope?
I know your name though.
What was the horoscope that used to come out like weekly? Was it in the newspaper?
Metro Times.
Metro Times
has the best one.
The best one. I remember weekly because I really believe in it.
Or was it Real Detroit?
I think it was Real Detroit.
It was Real Detroit.
It was Real Detroit.
Yes.
And I remember like it was a weekly. Like they would send out your weekly horoscope for the following week, and I religiously would get the paper. And then it became online, so I was like subscribing to.
See, I didn't grow up believing in that, because it was almost like that's like a sin or something, or that's the devil or whatever. That's was
taught.
like my upbringing. But then as I got older, and then I started like the spiritual journey, like about 3.5 years ago, and I always kind of just thought, it's so spot on though with people. But I was always taught like not to believe in that. But then finally I'm like, look, it has to, if this is like so accurate, like it has to be something to it. So that's when I started looking more into it.
Yeah, it's intertwined with some religion. So I met a girl in Miami, and she's Jewish, and obviously I brought up astrology, right? So we would go for walks, and because I was by myself. And she was like, well, in my religion, we go off the phases of the moon. So I completely understand astrology. And I was like, this is so fascinating to me. So she sent me some literature and stuff to read. And I'm like, wow, this goes way back. And you have to think, the moon controls so much on our planet, right? Like it controls the tides, like the oceans. We are 70% water.
Right.
So if you think whenever there's a full moon and it controls something as large as this planet, like an ocean, what do you think it does to our brain? So they say that whenever there's a full moon, how people go crazy, and like a lot of kids are born on a full moon.
Oh my gosh,
we did just have one, yeah. And in Aries too, so that's a fiery energy. I was born on a full moon. My son was as well. And when I was having my daughter, oh my gosh, there were so many people having kids. Like they ran out of rooms. Like, and they're all the nurses will say every full moon, there's a lot of babies being born.
No way. Wow.
Yeah.
And so you've always been into astrology, like as a young child, and then.
Well, I'll tell you what. I grew up Catholic, so I call myself a recovering Catholic, right?
Amen.
And I was taught the same thing. It's like witching hour, and but my mom was a hippie. And so she always kind of had a more open mind about things.
Hence the Instagram, your name.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead and throw that out there. Your Instagram. Go ahead and plug
Do you
yourself.
consider yourself
a hippie's
one
daughter.
too? Or
I'm sorry?
do you consider yourself like kind of?
I consider myself a hippie's daughter.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I grew up a little bit rougher around the edges, in Southwest Detroit and downriver, and not that my mom had an easy life. She was in E-course. Both of my parents came from very broken, messed up families, and so like, what they brought to the table when we were being raised by them is what astrology helped me understand, and it just helped tremendously with like how I was treated, how people react and act, and I've always been infatuated with human behavior. And why people react the way they do. And astrology helped me understand that.
Gotcha.
Like, I should have been a therapist. I feel like I missed my call.
Or a psychologist.
I would say there's still time. Like, just add that to the list.
Like school.
Okay, so what do you mean by your mom's a hippie? Give us examples of like why she's a hippie.
Yeah, so I mean, she was like all the free peace, love, all that. She drove like a bug, like a Volkswagen bug. She had a van. And you would drive around like out west in a van,
No
and
way.
they would like swap stuff,
Okay.
It was anything that you would like picture Jenny on
Okay. I got
Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Like that's my mom.
She was like a van girl. Like she would just take trips. Kinda, like a gypsy. Isn't that what they call it? Gypsy.
Yeah,
Gypsies do that.
Like, I always thought like Wandering Soul. Like,
I just think like 70s.
that's the 70s,
Yeah,
That's what I think.
and experimental,
Yeah, so
Like-
was she not strict on you as a kid?
No, that's the problem. Is
That was the problem.
She did all the things. She thought she knew all the things, so she was like, "You ain't getting away with shit."
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like almost reverse.
So like I remember, like I was in high school and she sat me down and she like turned all the lights on, and I was like, I was probably at a party and I was probably drinking or something, and she was like, "What drugs are you on? I know them all," and I'm like. I'm not on any, like, oh my God. So it was like, when you keep getting accused of doing things, you start doing the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny because my mom was the same way. Like, so my mom.
I think we had this conversation.
Yeah. When I was younger, she was always, my mom would stay up until I got home. And then even in high school, like I was 18, even at 19 years old, I would have to go in and give my mom a kiss goodnight so she could smell if I was drinking, if I had smoked any weed or like done anything. Like she'd be like, come in and give me a kiss goodnight. And I'm like, Mom, I'm 19. She's like, I I don't care, come in here. But it was just like almost the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
Now, are you guys
sorry,
like
Mom,
that
if you're
with your
watching this,
kids?
but I would like you do you.
Are you guys like that?
No, I was different. See, the problem,
I think I'm more open with my kids.
my mom used to whoop my ass. Okay, so like I would go to school with a fat lip, or like, cause she would straight up like punch me, and like, so in that regard, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so like I'd go to school and people would be like, "Dang, you got into a fight?" I'm like, "Yeah."
With my mom.
You see the other guy.
But like all my friends, you know, because I still hang out with a couple of my friends from Wyandotte and downriver, and they're always like, "Oh yeah," like they would always know if I stayed the night somewhere. My mom was calling at midnight, you know, like before the cell phone time. And
My mom used to call parents.
That's what I'm saying. She would call
She
the
would call the parents and be like, I just want to make sure my daughter's there. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
She would, that would be my mom. And then if not, you know, like she'd come out looking for me, you know, drag my ass, like.
Wow.
Oh yeah. So when I was like 16, 17, my boyfriend Lauren's dad, he lived in Southwest Detroit, so I just moved there, and I was like, I'm out. I'm out. I can't handle you.
It's almost like you're suffocating.
Oh, she hated it. She hated Sean and everything. So that was a great conversation when I got pregnant by him at 20.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was pregnant on my 21st birthday and then on my 30th birthday. So I'm like, every birthday, I'm like, I'm making up for it.
Yeah.
But that always backfires, like when you're that strict, because the kid just like can't wait to get out of the house.
Oh, I moved out. I just turned 18 and I moved out because it was the same thing. Like I felt like I was like suffocating, like I couldn't breathe. And it was the same thing. Like it was just, I mean, my mom was in the 70s or hippie, but she was just so strict that I literally felt like I was suffocating. Like I couldn't breathe and do anything.
One of the first spiritual laws that you have to understand, and I had to understand this because through COVID I did a womb healing course of this lady in Dubai, and it was liberating. It was great, and I gave it to my sister because we all have our own things with our parents. But if I explain my mom and my baby sister explains my mom, you're going to get two totally different people that we explain.
Does she treat her differently?
Oh yeah, she's a doctor. You know, her life has been easy, but you know, like maybe she had a rough life in her past life. You know, she just got engaged. She was in top of a mountain in France like 2 weeks ago. Like, that's picture perfect life. Like, she's such a good human. Yeah, she's a really good human. But the first spiritual law that you should always try to remember is that you picked your parents. So you picked your parents before you came here, and it was the perfect combination for what your soul needed to learn in this lifetime. So going back to that book, Astrology for the Soul, that is what that book is about. So whatever your North Node is, that's your soul's purpose in life. So mine's Virgo, which fucking sucks. It's like, so I'm here to learn about like organization and planning, which is like the worst.
So how do you know your North Node?
Yeah.
Because I need to know that.
You gotta pull your chart. I can pull your chart. So you have a North Node and you have your
that's what we were
South
talking
Node.
about, and she started saying all this stuff, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Wait, you know on
my
Snapchat
North Node
how you can like it'll tell you like what you are, like your rising.
It will?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
You have to put the information. I was wondering if you know my North Node.
So if I had the book, I should have brought it. My bad. It's literally I was like, I'm gonna bring this because
for sure.
in the front of the book, it'll tell you like it gives you like a chart, like almost like the ephemeris, so you can look it up and see what your North Node is. But knowing that, so your big three and your North Node are very important. But like if you ever get your chart read, it's also very important to know aspects and squares, because it's what type of energy flows freely, or where you're going to have a little bit of conflicting energy. So there's so many layers to it. And during COVID, I went to astrology school, and so that's when I dove a little bit deeper, and it helped me understand that on top of like the other womb healing stuff that I was doing. Understand my mom, and now like we have a great relationship, and I have a great relationship with my dad. And this is so funny because both of my parents are fire signs, right? And they had 2 water signs and 1 earth sign, so it's Scorpio, Virgo. And I'm like, we picked them, and also like they have so much to learn from our death. And their fire is like they're cardinal signs, you know, so they're like quick starters and they're quick to react, and that's exactly what she was. And my sister and I are very emotional. We're deep. We're water signs, you know, so it, you know, we're a little bit more reserved, but we're going to hold things in, and we take things and just hold on to it. And then my sister's an earth sign, so she's very grounded and and steady.
That's like such a combination, though. Like, and it's funny because so we've actually talked about in past podcasts about speaking about your truth, like what are your truths, and how everyone holds their truth. And I kind of think that we should even talk about like our signs, and even
definitely
with
let's
that,
do it,
because like we've dove into,
you know,
everyone
about it, right?
I know she's been so excited for this, but we do talk about our truths, because we all have our truths and how we grew up. And I think I'm becoming more aware, and I mean, we've really dove deep into this, and I don't think people realize the conversations that you should have even before you get into a relationship. And is it that why relationships are failing, or why they're not honest? Because you're not being honest with your truth.
Your truth, definitely.
And even like as your signs, like I'm a Sagittarius, he's a Scorpio. And we had this conversation, right? When's your birthday?
November
7th.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm November 25th. So you
possess a lot of Scorpio energy,
I
though,
do.
because you are a November.
I'm right on that.
Yeah.
Like,
so I always this is how the month can play into that. So I always use this example. You're young. You might not know Mr. Rogers.
Oh gosh. Yes.
Okay.
I feel like
Mr.
Rogers
is a saint, right? Like, you can't hate on Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers is an October Scorpio, so he possesses a lot of this Libra loving energy. Gordon Ramsay, we all know who that is a November Scorpio. So that contrast can explain, right? It's a good example. I love
Gordon Ramsay is William's twin. No, I'm kidding. I'm just his deliverance. Like
he can cook.
No, and plus he can cook. So and you can cook. So hey, like I mean, I know you have a twin, but no. So when I say this, like he is a very much like I read his Scorpio sign and I talk about it, and he has those. I don't want to say harsh. It's not harsh. It's
brutal truth.
Yes. And but it's all out of love. Like there's still very much a love behind what he says, but then it's like, let me just take this like dagger like out of my side, because I know you love me and it's all great. And then for me as a Sagittarius, it's like an emotional whirlwind. So
yeah,
he's a little, we don't talk much about, but I believe it. Like he's not so much on the astrology thing.
It's okay. It's just a matter of time.
It is. We're gonna get on there, Kelli. We're gonna get on there.
But it's crazy. I'm an energy person.
He's such an energy person, though.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Then I mean, this is only going to fall into place.
See?
It's natural. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
One of my good friends, I've known her for over 20-something years. She's a Scorpio, but she's like, I don't believe in it. And I was like, girl, it's not a matter of believing in it. It is a matter of understanding. And I was like, I'll make you a believer. So yeah, I use it to understand people, but first and foremost, I use it to understand myself.
Yeah.
Why am I feeling this way? And there's so much more that goes into it than your sun sign. Okay. And then obviously your rising and your moon and all of that. But you guys know me. I can talk about this forever.
So we love it. We're all for it right now.
So with the North Node, what you are saying is whatever your North Node is, that was like your purpose for coming here?
It's your soul's purpose. Okay. Yeah. So it's what attributes you need to learn
I should have brought that
and what attributes you need to leave behind.
Got you.
And it'll hit you. Yeah. I've let so many people borrow this book. I should start having them write their names.
You should. That would be awesome.
Every person that's borrowed this book has bought it. And
I didn't even borrow it.
I feel like you should write a book.
Yeah, honestly.
Because
you are seriously like the many people have told me that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
But I think it can help understand relationships better. Like I think, and that's especially in the society that we're living in and where the world is going. It's not like it was. Like for me, I kind of made a joke with Brooke earlier. I was sitting in the corner and I was around a couple people and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm old enough to be all your mom. Like hey, welcome children. Like I'm old enough to be your mother. But we lived in a different generation than what Brooke did. And I think that it can help understand or even bridge that gap of understanding how I grew up is not how she grew up, and
Bridging that gap.
Yeah, bridging that gap. I don't know how to say it besides bridging that gap of the differences and how we all grew up.
And then how kids are growing up now.
And how, and then now again, how our kids are now growing up. It's
different.
Completely different than, so it's definitely something that we've been talking about. So we've been talking about a lot about like life path, our life path number.
So Rob brought this up to me.
Yeah.
He was like, did you hear about this? Because we always share like these things because if you find your people, right, like people that understand this, like, okay, for example, you send memes to all your friends, right? We all do. So you have a select few, like, oh, this person will get this one, right? So it's kind of just like that when you talk about these type of spiritual or deeper things. And so he was like, but did you hear, he told me that you were studying a little bit deeper about it, about like your master number, is that right?
Yeah, well, the life path number. And so the reason I got into it is when I heard about life path numbers and I found out what my life path number was. It was so spot on. And then so I started like checking people that I knew, like my mom or my brother or people close to me, to see if that matched like the traits that they had or whatever. And then it was spot on with that as well.
Nice.
So when he started talking about he's seeing like the number 4 all the time and he keeps seeing this and that, I'm like, guess
she piped
what?
up and she's like, guess
your
what?
life path number is 4.
So
and all of our mouths just dropped
today.
Like,
Because I told him, I was like, I go back and forth between a sequence of 444, 222.
Mine is 333.
And
like
lately, I literally texted this to Rob. I said, lately it's been 333, which is crazy because that was my pager code back in the day. 333.
Pager code.
Pager.
I'll show them that.
I love it. See, I told
33 has always been my number. Yep. Like my daughter Lauren was born 3/3. My birthday's the 3rd. Donovan was born. He was due 3/3, but his birthday's in March. So 3 is very prevalent in my life. But I always look up the angel number for that reason, and it's really, really true. It's becoming more and more obvious in what I've been doing lately. I've been manifesting a lot. So I told Rob that, and then today he sent me because he's like, I see 444, and I was like, I've been seeing 222, and he sent me a screenshot of his maybe I don't know if it was one of his social media pages, and he had hit like 22.2 followers, and I was like, and he's always sent me a screenshot, and then he was like, what's your life path number? I was like, I don't know, I haven't dove into this yet. He's like, I'm a 22. So then
that's his master. That's the master
22
number.
and then 2 plus 2 is 4.
The master number.
And only certain people have master numbers, because I tried to look up mine and I don't have a master number.
Okay.
But
so he looked up mine and he was like, you're a 22 as well.
Okay.
And I was like, bet, okay. I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna look it up, and I did, and I was like, okay, this is motivational. I love this stuff. But after reading that, I was like, coming out of this stupid relationship and breakup that I just had, I'm like back to myself. I got distracted all summer. I was still living downtown. I was doing my thing. No, now I'm like back on my grind and my hustle mode, and I'm like clear-headed and now a little bit more focused on what I want.
Right.
So I realized I had to go through some things for me to get to where I'm at now.
Yeah,
and it's okay.
Go through to get to.
Exactly. So,
and it's funny because your guys' life numbers are the same.
Yes,
oh, really?
Which makes sense.
They're both 5.
Very similar.
I'm 1 and William's 8 and Rob is 4. So like it's kind of funny because
And I have no idea what that means.
it doesn't matter. You
It is the manifester.
Eight's a manifester. But what's funny was Tyra brought this
you
up.
should know that it's very important to know, because I always say, master your life path number, master your life. Because if you know what your life path number is, it'll help you see like the things. It'll bring out kind of like the best in you.
And you are a manifester. You very much are.
That's my I already make things happen. So why?
That's manifesting. That's manifesting. That's
so
exactly what we're talking about.
Live the position and not even dive deep in it. Just keep doing what I'm doing.
But you should
right?
dive deep in it.
Okay. Because it might motivate me.
It might motivate you more. And what's funny is 8 is a very impactful number in our life.
Infinity.
Like, all of our children were born on the 8th, except for one. Zoe was born on the 4th, but that's half of 8.
Yeah.
We were married on the 8th in 2018. And then Tyra.
2018.
And then Tyra was like, do you know Will's number is 8? And I'm like, I'll like.
Of course it is.
Of course, like of
It all
course. Why
clicked.
wouldn't it be 8? And I had no clue until she brought it up to me. She's like, "Will's number is 8," and I'm like,
But once you realize that everything is numbers,
"Yeah,
everything
that.
is numbers,
yeah."
you realize like it'll all start to make sense. Like, you know, everything comes down to like numbers. So that's I'm like
recently-
infatuated by.
I love it.
Yeah,
and I want to
she's
learn
been
more
diving
about
deep.
it.
She's been diving
so
deep
you can
into
help
it.
me understand it because I
Yeah.
wanted to expand on like astrology, so I started getting a little bit deeper into human design, and I don't know enough to talk about it, but maybe another time because that
We
definitely
might
doing
have a
part
part 2. We've already
that
talked
is
about
like
a part
a
2.
whole deeper level that brings astrology to the equation, but man, it goes deeper.
Yeah.
This stuff
And-
could go like really deep, like all this stuff. And when I learned about the 5 life path, it's funny because I've always been like, do not put me in a box. Like I don't like to be put in a box. Don't tell me that I have to stay here. Like I'm gonna do what I want to do. And life path number 5 is the freedom seeker.
There you go.
Like we want to be free. Like
Do you
we
feel that? Do you do you feel that a lot too?
100%, Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you want to be free, and it's almost like your ultimate goal in life is just to be at
Fly,
peace and be
be
free,
free.
and you know,
Yeah.
and that's everything that you're doing is trying to get you to that point.
So that's your life path number?
Number, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how do I find, because Rob just gave me the 22, and that's a master number. So
That's a master
birthday.
life number. So you have to add up every day. Like, so I'm like
full
11,
birthday.
25, 1981. So you add up all those numbers and you keep adding them until you get to a single digit between 1 and 9.
Okay.
So
So
that's
what's your birthday?
So 11/3/79.
So
So 11,
2,
14.
5.
5. What was it?
I'll let y'all do it. I'm
Wait,
terrible at it.
Okay,
I'm just gonna sit back.
so 2, 5, and then 1 and 9 is 10. So that would be 15. And then you said 79
Yep, 1979.
would be 16. So that's what, 31?
So 4.
So 4.
You
Your
guys
life-
both are 4.
Your life path number is 4, which
And
would make sense
22.
because it's like
And
22.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's why you
your
have
life
such a
path- So
connection.
you're a builder.
Yeah.
A builder. Yeah,
That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
number
life
4
path
is the
number
builder.
4 is. Yeah, we've been diving deep in this, girl. Like
I
last
love
week
it.
we were
And
so
then I
into
sent
it.
that to him like life path 4 is a builder. Literally his YouTube is what is
Build
it called?
what?
Build.
Yeah.
It's all about building.
Building.
Oh, man.
And that's what he
yeah.
is. He's
I
all
love
about
it.
like building.
Yeah.
And the only
Yeah.
master numbers are 11, 22, and 33. And I don't remember how to figure out how to get to your master life number, but not everybody has one because when you
add it up, that's your master number.
But when he was in our group text, he said, my master number is 22. And I was like, oh, let me figure this out. And mine didn't come to 11, 22, or 33. So obviously yours is going to be 22 as well.
It makes sense because I just have this feeling that I'm here to do so much more than what I'm doing right now. And I just keep having this feeling, and I'm like, okay, but what? And this is where I'm gonna go back to doing my retreats and building these things and building these communities that I did when I was in Virginia. I built up women communities and brought back booty yoga, BUTI, not BOOTY. Even though we do shake our booties in there. And I want to bring that here because it was so much fun to do booty yoga.
I can't wait.
It's a
You need to.
dance. It's
like
shaking.
a dance yoga?
Yeah, but it's all about like releasing and letting
Yeah.
go. And you play the music really loud, and you look in a mirror because it's all about self-acceptance, self-love, self-discovery, and you do a lot of non-linear movements, right? So I will sprinkle it in my yoga class, and I teach because mostly it's all women, and because we do a lot of like spiraling, and it's so important for your inside. So you got to worry about your internal body just as like your external body, and it's a great way to release toxins. It's a great way to massage your internal organs. And so I always have a full class, and they're like some of these women really get into it, and I love seeing that. I love when I'm teaching a class and I can hear people breathing and they're closing their eyes and they're really dropping into themselves, and I'm like, yes. Yes, like
It's
feel
happening.
it. Yes, it's happening.
It's
right.
happening.
And it's like, when you get that feeling that you said you got, it's like, that's where you're supposed to be. Like
Right,
that's where you're supposed to be
Yeah.
doing that. So
I
you should
love it.
build on that.
Builder.
Okay, so before this podcast closes out, I want to get to know a little bit about Kelli, like younger Kelli.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like a lot of people know your
Kelli
story, and I
moved
want you
out
to build
and
this.
she
story.
did her stuff.
She's a
she did
hippie's
her
daughter.
thing, and she's a hippie's daughter. So yeah, absolutely, I'm with Brooke.
I
Let's do
was
this.
the worst.
Oh really?
Yeah, no,
don't believe
not a
that.
lot of people know
I was
this.
sad. I don't know if I agree with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Check it. Fact check me. I was bad. I'll just throw it out there. I spent 30 days in a prison that's now shut down. And like DMX was there. It's the second most dangerous prison in America. It's no
In New
longer
York?
there.
Or
It was at Tent City in Arizona.
oh, okay.
It was horrible. Yeah.
And how old were you when this happened?
I was in my 20s. I was 27. I was in and out of jail all the time as a youngin'.
For what?
Stupid shit. All types of stuff.
Like, what age would you mean by that, youngin?
Well, when I was still in high school, and I was sent to not sent. I got caught in Cincinnati, and I was in a delinquent home. And yeah, I had to protect myself, so I fought a lot. I was the only white girl there. My parents had to come down and get me, but before that, my mom was like, "Let your ass stay there." And I saw some crazy shit in there. And then, that was still in high school, so I was pretty young. I graduated when I was 17. And then, I was going to Canada. Like, I grew up very fast. So, like, I was, like, 13, 14, going to Canada, partying, drinking, fighting.
Wow.
And my friends were, like, my Libra friend, she was, like, the connector. And she was like, everybody always, like, messed with you. And maybe because you were pretty or whatever, they thought I couldn't fight. And I did. I got beat up a lot. I got jumped when I was in high school, and I got my face split open, and I had to get stitches, and, like, it was bad. So it took a lot for me to come out of my shell. And then finally I was just like, fuck this. Like, forget that. Like, I'm fighting back. I had to fight back. And then it was over. It was game over. And so then, like, all my friends would, like, talk junk, and then I just started fighting. I'm like, who said this to you? Like, let's go. And then
That's so funny.
It's
Game
all
changer.
about confidence.
I like
Yeah, because, then I started, back then it was the 90s. So Detroit had a big underground scene.
Huge.
I lived...
Yep.
Within walking distance to one of the first largest raves there were in Southwest, and go there, and yeah, it was just crazy. And I was dating a drug dealer at the time, Lauren's dad, and and so that it was just the wrong environment that I was in.
How is that life, like dating a drug dealer?
In high school and being an ignorant teenager, it was great.
When did you start dating him?
Yeah.
Y'all think
what
this is
age?
funny, so I was.
No, it's like interesting.
No, because you're at a
Getting the
status
tea.
level, and the only reason I can say this is because, like, I grew up in a certain area, but I was in Southwest a lot as a teenager, and it's almost like you hold a little, kind of like a little status of who you are.
Most definitely, yeah.
And it's not understood.
Going to hall parties, yeah.
Like, you were invited to stuff, and when you walk in with somebody that's at that status, you're looked at differently.
Yeah, and I got messed with, and I was pretty much the only white person in my crew too. But it was like, I don't know, like I feel like race is so talked about now, like it's like this. But back then, like we didn't care, like it wasn't a big thing.
Talked about,
yeah, it wasn't a big thing, and so like it was just always fights everywhere. But I don't know, like so this is funny. So back to like me dating Sean. In high school, this is such like I laughed.
Did y'all start dating in high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
So was he in high school too, or was he?
He dropped
already-
out of high school. He went to Chatsey in Southwest.
Okay.
It's torn
Okay.
downs now.
He says, "Uh-oh."
I'm sorry.
Back there says, "Uh-oh."
Yeah, if you know, you know.
He was streets for real.
Oh yeah, for real. Oh yeah, So,
How did you meet him? No,
I was just trying to think. There was this party that we would go to. What was that? It was disgusting. It was literally somebody had land and they dug out a hole and it was like a little lake,
gosh.
and people would go there and party.
In a lake?
It was a fake lake. It was like people would swim there. God, what was that called?
You guys were in the water?
So clueless. Yeah, like
It was. I met him
fake
through
lake.
Mindy Johnson. And then I saw him again there. But it's gonna come to me. And I have to tell you, because if you
So how old were you then? Like
12, 13.
Okay.
Whoa.
And I met him, super young. So then he had a really sweet Monte Carlo with a system in it.
Oh, God,
so
the Monte Carlos.
He would come pick me up at high school, and my friends would be going to Taco Bell, which was right next to Applebee's, and I was going to Applebee's for lunch. So I thought I was on top of the world going to Applebee's for lunch.
He's taking me to Applebee's.
Those are appetizers, so.
And I'll be like sitting in his car eating Applebee's. I'm like, over there enjoying those. Back then it was like 59-cent tacos.
Oh my gosh, 59-79-cent tacos.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that's what it was like. It was
So
cool
you
because
dated
he
from,
always
like-
had tons of money, cash
Yeah,
all the
that
time.
sounds
17 to and then you got pregnant at 20. So you were with him
On and off, yeah.
on and off all those years.
So did you go with him to the drug deals?
She's like Oprah, like. So.
I know nothing, girl.
You know this is recorded, Brooke, right? We gotta be careful here.
Well, that was so long ago.
Hey, let me tell you something about so long ago. I had a Jaguar in 2002 or 3. And I recently just got a phone call from a company that said they were suing me, a breach of contract for a Jaguar I had back in 2000. Well, they said 2007. Because I blew the transmission in it, and when I took it back, because it was a lease, they fixed the transmission, and when I turned it in, they tried to charge me for it. And I was like, I'm not paying for that.
Right.
So, I just got a call last week. They were trying to come after
That's
me.
history.
That
Like,
is
what
crazy.
Jaguar?
I know.
Like, I'm sorry. I don't know.
What is the Jaguar still around? Like,
Yeah.
I love Jaguars.
The
that
company.
Jaguar.
Oh, the company's still around, but the car is definitely not.
So why do you even care? Like,
Dog that car. I was always doing 120 on the lot.
Dude, I used to
Hell yeah, I
love
blew the transmission
Jaguars.
in
That's
that
my
car.
favorite car.
That's so funny.
small
The
for
Jaguars
me.
are like my favorite car. Like
Oh,
the SUVs.
yeah. That car purred, man. I love driving
That's
fast.
the reason why it's called the Jaguar.
I lost my license for 7 years. And
Was it because of the Jaguar?
Probably a lot.
Was it included in the
bit more.
And then and then when I moved to Virginia, I'll never forget this day. There was a first state, because I had lived in like 4 other states, to give me my driver's license back. I'll never forget this. It was Friday the 13th, and I had to
I
do
was
the whole
born on
driving
Friday the
test
13th.
all over. It's coming up next Friday.
next
I know
Friday.
it is Friday 13th in October.
That's when we're supposed to close.
Nice. It's a lucky number.
Same.
People have like
Are you
this.
But look, I was
Same.
born
You're
on
supposed
Friday
to
the
close
13th.
13 is a lucky
Oh my
number.
gosh.
And my
Supposed to
mom was
close.
like, everyone in the hospital was like, ma'am, aren't you scared that
No.
your daughter is being born on Friday the
You
13th?
are-
wait.
see,
Oh my God,
we're
now I'm
supposed to-
nervous.
I know, we're supposed to close on the 13th too. That's why I'm like,
No, that is a lucky
Yeah, it's a lie.
day.
Okay.
That's a lie.
Okay, it is
all.
lucky. It is
can
lucky.
you just bring it all to me? Is this the house that you're having?
My brother and my sister-in-law,
Oh, okay.
the 13th. Yeah.
I need all.
That's
Wow.
funny. I didn't realize it was
13 is a very important number. Like I don't get the whole. Maybe I should look deeper into this, because some like high rises won't even have a level 13.
Number 13, right? There's
Floor,
a lot of
like a floor
hotels that don't
13.
have 13.
Really?
Yeah, there's a ton of, a lot of hotels that don't have floor 13.
Older
It
buildings.
skips
Like
from
you go to
12
New
to
York
14.
or somewhere, like
I
older
think it was
buildings.
New York, wasn't it? In the hotel we stayed in New York, we were on a high rise and it went beyond 13. So
Can we talk about that? I know Kelly outside of the podcast, and I never knew.
you never
You
knew.
do?
No, he wants to know. No, what he's saying is he wants to know more about Kelly outside of real estate and the world.
That's
that
why we definitely
the
have to do a
Kelly
part
that we've
two.
known for
We
the
don't
last
know
couple.
about
That's
Kelly.
a good one. Let's do some
That's
of that.
the question
That's
at
a
the
question.
end. Like, we're
No,
waiting
that's-
for
that-
that at the end. We
What's
have
that?
a question for you, but
Oh, boy.
we'll carry on.
Well,
It's not a bad thing.
No, it's not bad.
It's not a bad thing, though, Kelly. It's just you look like
I'm open.
so. You know what I mean? Like having that hard life, like really kind of relating to me.
Yeah.
You kind of don't look like you came from that space.
Yeah. I've been through some shit.
But
It's
I
called
think
good.
the spiritual background
it.
that you have probably keeps you kind
Grounded
of
you? Did it
grounded,
ground you?
and it helps you not
I had to.
look like probably what you've been through.
Yeah,
this type of thing.
I had started like learning yoga and diving deeper into that because I had to. I always say like my daughter saved my life. I honestly believe that, because where I was at and what I was doing, I don't know if I would still be here. And I had her, I was pregnant and I was living in Southwest Detroit, and I was like, I gotta get the hell out of here. I mean, I saw some crazy stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to bring a child around this.
Yeah.
Her dad passed away when she was 5, and then but I had just moved to Arizona, and then this is crazy too. He
How
haunted
was
me in my
that
dream.
though? Passed
haunted
away
you
when
in
she
your
was
dream?
5?
Yeah.
How was that for you?
So he wasn't really in her life.
Okay.
But what was messed up is he was just, because he had a son that was older. So he had a baby mama, right? And she let me know after he passed that he was just starting to get his life together, because he was on drugs. He got addicted to prescription pills. And she was like, yeah, he stopped doing that. He was just smoking weed, and he was going to friend of the court because he wanted to start seeing Lauren. And then I don't know what had happened. I get different stories. But from the autopsy, there's like a cocktail of drugs, and there was fentanyl. And so I don't know if he was at a party, maybe thinking he was taking ecstasy or something. I don't know. But there was fentanyl, and we know that this is going around more and more.
Absolutely.
And it's very scary. And so that, he OD'd, basically. And so,
And how old was he at that time?
5 days before he turned 30.
That's crazy. And how has Lauren dealt with that?
So the hardest thing was I had to tell her that she would never meet her dad. So as rocky and as toxic as a relationship that we had, like he was very, very toxic. Like he used to beat the shit out of me. He had guns to my head. Like it was stupid. She never knew all that. She never knew any of that. But then she started to build a relationship with his family, and I respect the hell out of his family, because when my family wasn't there when she was an infant and when she was little, they were. And they took me in, and they took care of us. So I will forever have respect for them. So she definitely, became really close. And she has an older brother. And so she developed a relationship with him, and he's got 2 kids now. So, and he's got, Sean had a brother, and, a whole big family, and they're very tight knit. So I was happy for her to.
And she's close with them to this day. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was good. And I'm glad that came out of, death, if anything.
So you said he haunted you in your dreams?
Girl, get this. Okay, this is crazy. People, and I believe this because this happened to me twice. I believe that they can come to you in your dreams, like when they're crossing over or whatever it is. So I had just moved to Arizona, and I took my little sister with me, and we were laying in bed because me and my sister, we had like this big king size bed. And the day before, it was so weird because I was talking about him, but I was saying nice things, and he just like. And I haven't talked about him in years because I haven't seen him in years. And it was just so weird. So I went to bed, and like he came into my dream, and it was something like he was trying to pull me down to tell me something. He was trying to pull me down, and it was a very vivid dream. And then I felt him grab my foot off my bed, and what woke me up is I jerked my foot back, and I woke up. And my sister woke up because I was like, I jerked so hard. And she's like, what? And I go, Sean's under the bed. She was like, what? And I'm like, look under the bed. I'm like, he's trying to grab me and pull me down. And she's like, what the hell are you talking about? I was like, I just had a dream about Sean, and he's pulled my foot. And like, she's like, you're just dreaming. Like, shut up and go to bed. So I was like, all right. Like,
and how do you go to bed after that?
I don't know. So I guess I did. I went to bed, and the next day, my friend, she called me, and she said that he passed.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
When did he pass, though? Did he pass the next day or that day before?
It was that night. It probably was early in the morning, I'm assuming. I don't know exactly. I have his autopsy report, so I'm sure I could look, but I don't know. And then I had it happen again. A girl that I lived with in Arizona, when I first moved out there, she ended up passing away. And I had already moved to Chicago then. And before I knew she passed away, I had this crazy dream, and my apartment was like haunted. It was like all foggy, and she came in my dream, and she kept telling me, she's like, read the writing on the wall, read the writing on the wall. And I kept looking, and it was like, looked like it was written in blood, and I couldn't really see it. It was really foggy, and I was trying to call my homegirl Letisa because she lived in the same apartment complex, and I was trying to make it to the other side of the apartment because that's where Lauren's bedroom was, and I couldn't make it there, and she kept holding me back, and she kept telling me, she's like, read the writing on the wall. And I was like, I can't. Like, I can't. Like, and so I had that crazy dream. And then that next morning, my ex Jamal called me and was like, Carrie died.
Wow.
And I was like, I know, she haunted me in my dream last night. And he was like, whatever, you're crazy. And I was like, no, for real, like, this happens. And
it's real. Like, that stuff happens. Like,
I know, I've heard that. Like, I think it was a TikTok video where a lady, her husband, he was like a firefighter or something, and he was supposed to come home at a certain time, and she knew he passed before the cops got to the house and told her that he was gone. When they got there, they were like, your husband passed, and she's like, I know. And they looked at her like she was crazy. I remember like hearing the story, so that makes me get goosebumps when you say that, because I truly do believe that, like, when somebody passes, they can let you know that they're going to the other side, like in a window of time, you know.
It's, I mean, I feel like Sean did it in the wrong way, because both of them, they scared me. I was like,
that definitely can be scary for sure.
wow.
And I feel like it maybe take a certain type of person to be open.
And that's, I was about to say that, because like, doesn't it, because for me, I don't know if I would have received it the same way you did, because you were more open and aware than maybe I would be.
Yeah.
So could that make a difference?
Possibly.
Of where you're at?
But were you more open and aware at that moment,
time?
or did you come to a realization of, like, this is what
I thought
happened?
I've always, back to Scorpio, right? Like, I'm a Scorpio, right? So Scorpio is a sign of death and rebirth. So we are very connected to the underground. Okay, so like, I'll go real deep and talk about all that. I've always been, very fascinated with the paranormal.
That's why you got those.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, Halloween's my favorite holiday.
That's opposite. He's not a Halloween person.
No, but she say I watch a lot of demonic
Oh my gosh,
movies.
the stuff that he watches, I'll walk into the room and I'm like,
You gotta be careful though.
watch it. Like,
With
I
your
can't
energy,
do
because
it.
I used to be that way, and I had to stop, because I'm like, this is
You're putting it in your
affecting me.
subconscious, though, at the end of the day.
And especially if you're open,
Yeah.
like, I don't want that in my energetic field. So I'm trying to be, a
Like,
little
some
bit
of
more
the-
conscious about it,
and I
because it
will-
can stick in your subconscious. Like,
Yeah.
some
It
of that
does.
crazy stuff.
Everything.
Like, who
You watch
I cursed the
crazy
person
stuff.
who told me to watch the movie. Was that Centipede?
Oh,
Is
that's
that-
the Human Centipede. I
Human
never
Cent-
watched it.
Don't watch it.
I won't.
Have
you ever watched it? Have you watched it? Look at-
I will now.
No, you
No,
won't.
no, no.
Oh, please now.
It'll ruin your life.
Really?
Yes.
That bad?
No, but even today, like, I was trying to have a business conversation with him, and he was in the other room, because he has a room, like our son's room, that he goes in there when our son's not there, and that's his little area to watch TV, and he turns it up loud, and he had the door shut, and I walked in, and I walked in the door, and I happened to look up, and I don't even know what scene. She was in like a bathroom, and there was just like blood splattered all over the wall, and I'm like, what are you watching right now? Like, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. Like, that's not normal. This isn't. This isn't normal.
He's like, this is just some Scorpio shit right
And
here.
he is, though. But some of the stuff that he watches, like, I'm not kidding you guys. I will
It's a
like,
TV show.
but I'll look over at him and I'm like, are you okay? Like,
She knows what JP is.
But like she said,
you know
do
what
have
scene?
to
I
be
don't even know if you know
careful
what
with that
scene I'm
stuff.
talking about, but she's like in a bathroom and there's like blood splattered all over, and I just happen to open the door and I'm like,
What's the show?
Gen V. It's a spinoff from The Boys.
okay, did you ever watch The Boys?
No. Yes, I have watched The Boys.
It's
I'm not even going to talk about it
I
because
watched
we're
like
recording.
one episode.
I only watched one scene, and it's a scene my husband made me watch. And I looked at him, and I'm like, I think you need to go talk to a therapist.
Yeah, it's
Because the fact that you just asked me to watch this specific scene, which we're not going to talk
This
about on
TV
camera.
show has- I'll tell you.
it's crazy.
We'll talk about
It's
it after
gory.
hours camera. Like, this will be the after hours because we do an after hour thing too, and we'll discuss this after hour. But I looked at him and I'm like,
You need help?
I'm going to dial the therapist's phone number. The fact that you rewound the scene and told me to called me in to watch this shit.
Hey, I get it, because I'm fascinated with it too, but I just realized it sticks with me too much. And so I'm like,
You do have to be careful of that, because remember, like 95% of decisions that we make are
in
based
our
on our
subconscious.
subconscious thinking. So
you
everything that you're taking in, like, it's going into your subconscious. So if you're like infatuated with stuff like that, that means you watch it a lot. So it could ultimately have an effect. That's all I'm saying.
All right, you guys ready to wrap this up?
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to
We can
finish?
end it. We got the question.
So we have to. We're gonna do two questions because the one that Brooke was gonna ask, I usually ask, and Tyra has asked this before. What would be something that you would tell your younger self,
That's a good one for you.
oh man, so many things.
or would you change anything to get where you are today?
You know what? No. Because I am the person now, having gone through and learned everything. Maybe I could have learned it a little bit quicker.
Right.
Girl,
Yeah.
I'm 42 and I'm still trying to figure this shit out. So
I find myself relearning the same things, and so I try not to get hard, down on myself for being like, okay, you should have already learned this lesson and you would have been here, but you can't do that. Everybody's on their own path and journey for a reason, right? But my younger self, I would definitely say everything is going to work out. And trust your gut. Because there's so many times that I did not trust my instinct. And if there's one thing I feel, I have pretty strong instinctual feelings. And I get mad and I regret every time. Actually, I don't want to say regret, because I always say I don't have any regrets in life. I have lessons.
you've learned from them.
Exactly. And I probably could have learned a lot sooner. Yeah, definitely.
All right. So do you remember, do you remember what your question was going to be?
What is something no one knows about you?
I feel like I just shared a lot that no one knows.
You did, but girl, listen, I feel like we could. There will be a part two. There will be a part two to this.
Dude,
There will be a part two.
So many things.
If you could think of one thing. Just one thing.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when she asks that?
There's so many. That's the problem. I know this. So even though I was married, I have never been proposed to.
Really?
How'd that happen
It's
then?
a cliffhanger.
Did you guys just decide one day?
It was weird. I was drunk in City Hall. That was like, okay, that's a whole other story in Chicago. Like, literally left the club and went to City Hall and got married.
Oh, God.
But, yeah.
So there was never a proposal after that, even
So both of you guys were drunk? And then
Well,
you just
so we had a conversation about it, but it was more of like an agreement.
The
Okay.
4 agreements.
Yeah.
We've been on this 4 agreements.
4 agreements too.
It's a good book.
Yeah, we've really been touching into that.
It's a great book. But yeah, I don't know.
And so so now I have to ask, where did that go? Like, you had an agreement, you decided to go get married. Where did
Then
that?
I got pregnant.
Okay.
Donovan, I always say Donovan was meant to be here.
I don't know if you want to talk about the agreement, but like
that makes sense.
how is it an agreement? Like,
I was in a lot of trouble.
Okay.
I was in a lot of trouble. I was just getting out of jail and like not in a good place. And he was like, well, we met in Arizona, but he was from Detroit and he lived in Chicago.
Oh, look.
Yeah. So he military.
Okay, because I'm like, the irony of that.
So he was like, look, like I can help you out. I can give you health insurance. Your daughter can get health insurance. And it was basically like that. And like we did fall in love, I will say. And he's a Libra, right? So he's like that harmonizer. He's a very good man. He was a great husband. I will never have anything bad to say about him. And then I got pregnant. So then I was like, because at first I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And then I was in too deep once I got pregnant. I was like, all right,
and then
cool.
so Donovan is now, how old is he?
He's 14.
He's 14 now.
He's like 6 inches taller than me.
I know, I see pictures of him all the time. Like, so and he's in California.
He's in California. He moved to California 3 years ago with his dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what is your relationship like now with his dad and with him? Like, how?
Oh, we're all cool now. Yeah, we're all cool now. I mean, his dad wasn't really there for a long part of the time. I mean, granted, he was deployed a lot, and that's like,
I couldn't even imagine
they
military
forced Donovan
life.
out of me in Chicago, as far as like birth wise. And then like 2 days later, we were in a car driving down to Virginia Beach because he had he was stationed there and he had to check in.
Wow.
And then literally we were there for like a week and he got deployed for 11 months. And I was
Oh my
like,
gosh.
this is not like Lauren's
This
dad,
wasn't part of the agreement.
yeah, I was still dealing with like Lauren's dad passing and trying to see how she was doing. I was like, I had an infant and he cried all the damn time. And then I was by myself. The only thing that was different than from Lauren is I had a little bit of like financial security, but he wasn't really making too much money because I never got a dime from her father. And so adjusting to that life, and then I was like, this is not it.
Right.
Like, and then we were more so just like friends. And right now, like we're like best friends. Like we clown each other. It's all good. And we
so
do
you
what's
guys
right for
came
him.
together to make him.
Yeah, that's
a great
exactly. That's why I say
Yeah.
like Donovan was meant to be here.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm picking you, your crazy ass, and your crazy ass, and you are gonna
and you're gonna be best friends forever.
Yeah.
But no, it's nice to have that co-parenting state,
have
'cause
to.
it's awesome.
Important.
So, do you have
Awesome.
anything else to add, or
No.
any last minute questions? Any?
That's it.
Well,
Just that we have to have a part 2.
we are
Yeah,
gonna
we
for
need to have a
sure.
part
We have so
two,
much.
yeah.
There will be. We
Because
always
we could talk for 3
We
hours.
have
on
never
podcast.
after
We
hours.
could go on and on.
all of us, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
we're all on the same page.
We
Yes.
are. And so, Kelly, thank you so much.
Thank
This has
you.
been a long time
Thank
coming,
you.
and we are so
Yeah.
appreciative
Thank
that
you
you
so
came
much.
here today with us. We will have a part 2 because I'm pretty sure that after this, the cameras go off. There's going to be some side cameras going, and we're going to have a little bit more discussion
Yeah.
about all of this. It's so intriguing, and we're like diving deep into it right now. So
Yeah.
this could not be a better time for you to be a part of this journey with us.
I love it. I
So-
love it. Everything that you guys are doing. I just want to say one thing, and I read this recently, is people come into your life as a mirror, as a teacher, or as an expander. And I feel that all of you are here to expand each other, and you've come in my life to help me expand as well. So
Yeah.
I want to thank you, and I love what you guys are doing here.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's an emotional day. It's been an emotional day.
Yeah.
Add to
Well,
the
on
wine.
that note,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you made it to the end of the podcast, thank you for watching the whole podcast. Stay tuned to next podcast next Wednesday.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
have to line up our guest, and Kelly will be back for part 2 sometime
sure.
during the season. So,
All right.
peace.
That's it for now. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, these headphones are hurting my ears.
It's all